We have three more amazing animal rescue stories to tell you about today. Each one is going to melt your heart. And by the end of the show, we're going to choose America's best tale.
And that's not all. Each of our contestants will win money for their favorite animal rescue organization. So don't go anywhere. America's Best Tales is next.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Arthur E. Benjamin, and I'm here with Farrah White and Bandit. Welcome to America's Best Tales.
Well, and welcome back to you. You've been gone. You've been busy helping with the Humane Society and animal rescue with all of that hurricane stuff.
Well, all of the rescue organizations we support are up there. The Humane Society of the United States, Animal Rescue Corps, American Humane. They're all up there, and Bandit and I are doing everything we can to help.
Well, good, good, good. There's a lot of dogs that were misplaced.
You know, it's in the thousands, and if not tens of thousands, and Mayor Bloomberg and Chris Christie and New Jersey Governor Christie of New Jersey were amazingly helpful in helping the animal rescue organizations set up 800 numbers to match lost dogs with the families that really want them back. It's been really hard. It was much better here than it was in Katrina. People were allowed to take their dogs with them, but there were some cases where you couldn't even get the people out of the situations they were in. I don't know if you saw the incredible devastation to the New Jersey shoreline.
Yeah.
I mean, that amusement park that used to be a a Ferris wheel and a roller coaster, and it's just a pile of broken wood sitting on what was a beach. I mean, it's really sad.
No, it is. And even though, you know, those storms, things like that, you know, you can plan for it. But I think things like that you can plan all you want, and it still isn't going to necessarily prepare you
Yeah,
for
and I
what's
don't think
coming.
anybody really thought that we would have the perfect storm. I mean, you had a nor'easter come together with a hurricane with a cold front coming in from the west, and it all hit at one time. And whether it was torrential rain and wind at incredible velocities, or whether it was snow that piled up out west, the animals are the ones, you know, beyond the humans that get hurt. And there isn't that much preparation for animals amongst the government organizations. It's all done through volunteer organizations, and the Humane Society of the United States Rescue Team is amazing. We're going to do something special for them.
Well, good. Well, I got to tell you, thank you so much for supporting all of those different groups to help them do the best job that they can. And it's really nice to hear that Bloomberg jumped up and helped out so much.
Well, Bandit did his share too, you know.
Yeah. Well, Bandit always does his share. And what is this? I saw a picture of you with Val Kilmer.
Well, you know, I escaped to Florida, and there's a new, talk about saving animals. There's a new home called the Bougainvillea House, and they announced the opening of it, and the chair was there, who I know, and I got invited to a dinner on a yacht, and Val Kilmer was the guest who spoke about his own past with cigarette smoking and how difficult it is to break any addiction. And so yeah, I got to spend the evening with Val Kilmer, and he's going to be back this weekend. He's here all weekend, and last night he was at the Art of Film event and was honored as the Lifetime Achievement Award, and you were right there too.
Well, I know. I was hoping you would lead into that. I'm joking. You know, I don't know if I liked him best as Batman or if I liked him best as a
Mark Twain.
Well, right, or just that yellow fella.
Yeah, he's really
Or Huckleberry.
He's really fascinated with two American legends, or two American. Mary Baker Eddy, who founded Christian Science, I believe, and Mark Twain, as two individuals, and he's doing a one-man show around the country on Mark Twain. Has great accent and has all of his quotes down pretty well. But back to the hurricane.
Oh,
it's really important that we all step up and do something to help. This is not over by any means, and American Dog Rescue is going to do its part. I'm personally going to be in New York on December 18th, week before Christmas, so it's the time and the season to give. And what we're going to do is we're raising as much money as we can, and I am personally going to get up that evening and match every dollar that we're able to, not only the money we're giving a substantial amount of money to the Humane Society's rescue team, but we're going to match every dollar from the audience
Every
that
single
night.
dollar, which will be amazing.
So if you go to our website and donate between now and then, we will be able to see that your dollar is $2 at that event, and it goes to rescue teams that go all over the country to save animals, bust puppy mills, and we will continue to give to all of the organizations, but that's a specific event for the Humane Society of the United States.
So if you want to help, visit the Humane Society of the United States online at humanesociety.org. Well, should we start today's show?
Well, I think we should.
We've got a very handsome man sitting here looking at us from time to time.
Bodie.
Yes, introduce us.
Well, our first contestant is Bodie. Bodie comes to us through DFW Lab Rescue. Bodie has helped his mom and dad overcome the loss of another dog, and her sister, Rumor, who was very upset by the loss of your other dog. Why don't you tell us first about the dog you lost and what that lab meant to you, and how Bodie's come along and sort of filled the gap.
Yes, filled our hearts back up. Well, we had her for almost 12 years, and she was a chocolate lab, and she was the sweetest thing ever. So when we lost her, we were devastated. And we knew we would eventually get another dog, but Rumor is a little cranky. She's a rescue, and she's not always dog friendly. So we knew it would have to be a special dog. And we tried a puppy, and that lasted for 6 days. It wasn't fair to the puppy or Rumor. So I went to the rescue and started looking on the site, and I read his bio. And I was like, I think he could be a really good match. And I went and met him at a meet and greet. And there was a dog that was kind of cranky with him, and he was wonderful. He just said, well, I don't care. And so he came to the house and met Rumor, and she showed her teeth. And he just said, well, that's fine, I'm going to ignore you, which is what she likes. And they are best buddies now. I mean, they've never had a cross word. She just showed her teeth, and he's so sweet, and he's filled our hearts, and he's so loving, and we just don't know what we would do without him.
And tell us about the condition he was in when you found him.
Well, Sherry, you know more about that from the...
We pulled him from the Fort Worth Animal Shelter after 3 of our volunteers were walking through the shelter as a training process, and our executive director was one of the people that was being trained, Lisa Hine, who you have met.
Absolutely.
Show. And Lisa's always after me as the director of incoming to pull healthy dogs that can be adoptable. And that's kind of her mantra that she goes by. And so she called me a couple of days after meeting Bodie in the shelter. He had bilateral eye infections, ear infections, very little hair. He was coughing, he was sick, he was emaciated, and just a sad, sad case. And she said, I know I'm always telling you to only pull healthy dogs, but I love this dog, and I hope that you're going to be able to pull him. So I said, of course we'll make a place for him. So we went and got him the next day.
Wow.
And he became went to a wonderful foster. After we pulled him and knew all the things that were wrong with him, we discovered in his lab work that he also had kidney failure. So we put him in a home thinking that it may be a hospice home, that he may not make it out of the foster home. But he began a wonderful recovery and was eventually adopted to Dana and her husband.
You know, to make it a little lighter, I don't want to miss that little pun there. I know it wasn't intended, but DFW Lab Rescue does lab work
They do.
We do
They
lab
do all
work.
kinds of. They do lab work.
And he only weighed 68 pounds.
Oh,
Can you
wow.
imagine? Now
No.
he's like 80
He's so beautiful.
plus.
So beautiful. Well, that's
So
a great story.
He was actually a miracle dog for us, I would say, that we really didn't expect him to be one of the dogs that we could adopt to a family.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were willing to undertake his care anyway.
Well, I think we should give everybody a treat. Bodie's so good, and Bandit likes him so much. Bandit, go get Bodie. Go on, go get Bodie.
Bodie a kiss.
Looky there.
Oh, Bandit's good. Bandit,
I'm
this
gonna
is
walk
Bodie.
around a
Yeah,
little
there
bit.
you go.
Yeah, there's your friend. Well, that's amazing. That's a wonderful story. I'm so glad that he was able to come in and provide some comfort, and clearly you giving such comfort to him. So that was a wonderful story.
We love him.
Yeah,
Well, as we mentioned, Bodie is here on behalf of DFW Lab Rescue. Learn more about this amazing organization by going to dfwlabrescue.org.
Thanks to Bodie and to both of you for being here today. And next up, we're going to meet contestant number 2, Jazzy. So please don't go away.
Welcome back to America's Best Tales. Our second contestant comes to us on behalf of GALT, Greyhound Adoption League of Texas. Jazzy was abandoned in a rural Oklahoma lakeside community. He was discovered by a good Samaritan, and it's actually a she, but it didn't work out in that home. So Jazzy found Ellie Grupp.
Well, Ellie is here today along with Susie McQuaid of GALT to fill in all the details of Jazzy's story. Welcome to you both. Happy to have you on the show.
Now, Ellie, you can pick up the story from there and tell us how you found this amazing dog.
Well, GALT had contacted their volunteers and requested some volunteers to step forward because they had 2 Greyhound puppies coming in, and I didn't step forward. But when Susie called me and told me that one of those puppies had some behavioral issues, I couldn't say no. So she came into our home and responded to my training with the very first click and treat. You can see that she's a very focused dog and really wants to learn.
Now, is it
Yes.
true that she was going to be euthanized?
She was 75 minutes away from euthanasia. There was a rescuer in Oklahoma who contacted GALT and said, please help me save this dog. It was most likely her aggressive and defiant behavior that had her there as a puppy. She was going to be euthanized, a healthy puppy. But as you can see, when training pays off.
When did you first actually
Yes.
meet her?
May 23rd. I had been informed of her. She would growl and snarl if people tried to grab her collar, and she would bare her teeth and threaten to bite. And all I did was show her that I had a paycheck. Yes. And that if she cooperated with me, that she would get her paycheck. Leave it. Yes. This was one of the first things I taught her, and she picked it up immediately. Leave it.
Now, how has this experience changed your life?
Yes. I'm a novice dog trainer, and GALT has sent me some challenging greyhounds that didn't get what they should have received as a puppy. And I've been teaching dogs that had bad habits that were in danger of not finding good homes, and I've always wanted a puppy because they're sponges. They're ready to learn. It's a privilege, it's a responsibility, and it's an honor to raise a puppy, but puppies need us to teach them. The thing that I'm teaching her right now, Jazzy, leave it. Yes. When she makes eye contact with me, she's saying, please, Mother, may I? And she's been taught not to growl, not to snarl. Excited behavior will not get her what she wants. With calm, relaxed behavior will pay her. So it's a privilege to have a puppy. And we also recently lost our first greyhound, Mustang Marianne. And it was, we were working on finding Jazzy a good home. I was just her foster mother. Leave it. Thank you. But after we said goodbye to our sweet Mary, I couldn't bear to lose Jazzy. So,
and now Jazzy's been winning some awards?
She's been competing.
Jazzy has her Canine Good Citizen. She got that real fast. And we are preparing to compete in AKC obedience trials. We're not ready to compete yet, but she definitely is progressing very well.
Well, does she have a couple of things she wants to show us?
Yes, she does. Jazzy, I have your paycheck.
That's right.
Yes. Get in. Yes. Get back. Yes.
Oh.
Wait. Come here. Yes.
She is so good.
Swing. This way, Jazz. Yes.
What a good girl.
What a good girl.
Good girl.
Amazing. You have done such a wonderful job.
And she is a talented dog.
Look.
Yes. Good.
Wow. She's going to do great.
Go ahead, get that one over
How
there.
beautiful. That was fun. I think that's the first time we've actually
is.
had a
It's
dog
terrific.
do tricks on the show.
Bandit's trick is that he doesn't do anything.
Well,
He
Bandit,
doesn't go after
he
his...
sees all and knows all, and that's
That's
all
it.
he has to do.
We're very lucky. Jazzy is very food motivated, and it makes training very easy. That, and she's a very focused dog.
And one of the things you train a dog that's being trained in service is to not eat anything but their own food. So
Right.
Bandit has absolutely no interest. It's great.
Wow.
If you like Jazzy's story, please help support Galt. You can find out more by going to their website, greyhoundadoptiontx.org.
So thanks to Ellie and Susie and Jazzy for being here today. And next up, we will hear the story of George. You don't want to miss it.
So don't leave us now. Welcome back. Our third contestant comes to us from the great state of Tennessee today. George was rescued from a puppy mill. He was used as a breeding dog and had poor nutrition. Wait until you see his picture. And he was found very depressed and very dehydrated.
Gail Kerr rescued George through Animal Rescue Corps. Monica Ailey with Animal Rescue Corps is here today, and Gail is going to join us by phone and tell us how George is doing. Hey, Gail.
Yes, hi.
Hi, tell us where you're calling from today.
I'm calling you from Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, nice. And welcome, Monica.
Hi.
How's Scotland doing?
He's doing great. He says hello and always thanks you for American Dog Rescue for their support.
Well,
And all of
we
our-
love Animal Rescue Corps, so.
Now, Monica, tell us about George's condition when you found him.
Well, when we found George, he'd been living in a rabbit hutch that was, It was tarped over, so basically they had tarps over, you know, the rabbit hutches, so there was no air ventilation whatsoever. The lady, the puppy miller, had a wire bottom, and so basically she felt like the feces and the urine would be filtering through, but it really didn't. And so all the dogs were living in deplorable conditions, and the ammonia level. I spent a lot of time inside, basically, half my body inside the hutches, trying to push some of the dogs forward so that Scotland would be able to, you know, carry them out and hand them off to our rescuers to take them off the property. And it being in halfway in the rabbit hutches, I had a headache for 3 days. It was that bad. So can only imagine what George was living in every single day of his life. Many of those dogs did not, had never touched the ground, had never, you know, been on grass or anything like that. And George was a mess. Sometimes it's really hard to know what some of the breeds are when we rescue these dogs. And he was pretty matted and pretty filthy.
Well, so can you imagine, and for our viewers, they really have to imagine what it's like for a dog to live in these deplorable conditions. Ammonia at the levels that it gave you a headache for 3 days, but at such high levels that it's toxic. They're living in that constantly with wire cages, to live on. They never, their legs go through the wire, they get caught, they live
cut.
in their feces and urine, and they do this year after year, litter after litter. It's a living hell.
Yeah, that is just really unbelievably horrible. Now, Gail, how did you come to meet George?
I was one of the volunteers who went to the Tennessee State Fairgrounds to assist in the care of the dogs while there was a court case going on to determine if the breeder would relinquish custody of the dogs, and they would be able to be moved on to foster homes or shelters or whatever. And so I actually am a volunteer and a board member with Agape Animal Rescue, and we're one of the placement partners that works with Animal Rescue Corps. So I actually had gone in as a volunteer to help clean and feed and water the 120-plus dogs that were there at the shelter. And George just happened to be in my lot of dogs one morning, and the partner I was working with, one of my colleagues, actually is the one who picked him out and held him while I was cleaning his cage, and we noticed by then he had been shaved down, and he was just a skinny little bony nothing. He was nothing, you know, but he just trembled. He just trembled and shook back in the back of his cage. But we noticed how, you know, most of those dogs were sad and scared anyway, but his little eyes, you could tell something was wrong with his eyes and that he probably had an issue with blindness. But he just sat so often in the back of his cage and trembled that it just broke your heart. But I did notice this. I noticed when we brought the food out that he started doing this little dance. and to this day, I want you to know, when you bring the food out, George dances like a little panda bear. He dances. But I noticed that, and it was what kind of caught my attention and made me realize that underneath all of the sadness and the health issues, he had this little spark. Maybe it was just about the food, but there was just this little spark in him that was this happy spark, and it was just when we brought the food out, because other than that, he was just a mess, just a quivering, nervous mess. So I did meet him working as a volunteer at the shelter where ARC had brought all the dogs, and that was my first time to meet him. And he actually ended up coming to me as a foster dog because my rescue ended up with 12 dogs, and lo and behold, George became my foster dog.
Well, we hear that happens from time to time.
It does, and it actually wasn't planned. I get foster dogs in my home all the time as a member of the rescue group that I do work with,
Sure.
and it's just part of my my contribution. I foster dogs and help get them adopted, and so it was just sheer coincidence
Well,
that ended up coming to me. It was not anything that I asked for. It's just sort of how it turned out to
end
fall.
up. Yeah, well, that was
Yeah,
amazing
and-
that you did that.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It was amazing.
So-
And I got to tell you, to find out more about Animal Rescue Corps, visit their website. Go to animalrescuecorps.org.
When we come back, we'll select, well, he'll select today's America Best Tale. Stay
That's
with
right.
us. Welcome back to America's Best Tales, and now is the time to select the story that moved us the absolute most today.
Yeah, so let's recap on our 3 stories. One is Bodie, who's here on behalf of DFW Lab Rescue. 2 is Jazzy, that was rescued from the streets of Oklahoma. And 3 is George, rescued from a puppy mill in Tennessee.
Well, let's reveal the winners. He'll whisper them to you.
Okay.
Starting with number 3, who gets $250 to...
Oh, yeah, and the check for 3rd place goes to George.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, George.
Yes, who joined us all the way on the phone from Tennessee.
And next, we have our second place winner, who
which
gets
also
a check
means
for
a check for
$500.
Okay, and that
Second
actually
place goes to-
the magnificent training.
And then, of course, first place goes to
Thank you.
Bodie. And I understand
Yes.
Bodie is very food aggressive. So Bodie,
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 what he's got for you.
Bodie boy. What do we
Okay.
have? What do we have?
Oh, Arthur. Well, thank you so much to all of our contestants today.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
we
much.
really appreciate you being here. And join us for 3 new animal rescue stories next week.
Find out more about us, America's Best Tales, For the Love of Dogs, at AmericanDogRescue.org. And don't forget to contribute to our matching
That's right. A match dollar for dollar on it's December
18th.
18th.
So between now and then, please go to AmericanDogRescue.org and contribute.
And be sure and follow us as usual on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
And R3 Benjamin with Farrah and Bandit White. Bandit?
Yes.
And Farrah White.
That's right.
Or did you guys get married?
We may
Anyhow,
have done something.
see you
But we'll
next time.